Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So welcome to this session. We've got a number of different speakers for you. First up, we've got Andy Allen, who's one of the maintainers of the OpenStreetMap website, who's going to tell us what's new. So thanks, Andy.
Great, thanks very much. I'll wait for Sean to run past. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for coming. I'm going to start this presentation with a little story. This summer, my wife and I took 3 months off work and went traveling around Northern Europe through Scandinavia, Finland, and the Baltics. We were kayaking in Latvia and Lithuania, watching bears in Finland, and also hiking in northern Sweden, high above the Arctic Circle for a week. And during that week, there was a 5-day period where we had no electricity, no running water, no mobile phone reception, no internet whatsoever. And those 5 days, I think that's the longest time in more than 20 years that I've not been on the internet. I can totally recommend it. And I can recommend if you have the opportunity to take a big break as well. It was great fun. And that's relevant to this presentation for 2 reasons. Because not only during those 5 days was I not on the internet, but during the whole 3-month period, I had disconnected from the OpenStreetMap development. And 2 things from that. One was everything kept running fine without me. We've got a big enough team of people that I could take those 3 months off, no problem at all. But also, I didn't just ignore the emails, I switched off the notifications. And so there was nothing for me to catch up on when I got back. And as you can see from the numbers here, in the last 16 months since I gave this talk at State of the Map Europe in Łódź, there's over 1,000 pull requests were merged. And for a big 3-month gap in the middle, I genuinely had no idea what was going on. And it was only during making this presentation and reviewing those 1,000 pull requests that I was finding out things that had changed on the website that I didn't know about. So what's new with the website turned into a question for me to figure out first before I can tell you. So my name's Andy. As was said earlier, I'm one of the maintainers for the OpenStreetMap website project. I'm also the founder of ThunderForest. We provide high quality customized maps based on OpenStreetMap data that's used by hundreds of companies for their apps and websites. You can find out more about that at thunderforest.com. A small amount of background on the OpenStreetMap website project. You win no prizes for realizing that it's the code base that powers the website that you see at openstreetmap.org. But it's also the same code base that provides the XML and JSON APIs that are used by editors such as JOSM if they want to communicate with OpenStreetMap. And it also defines the core database for the whole OpenStreetMap project. So all the node-based relations, all the user information, everything else that you find either through the API or through the website is stored in this database. When you go to openstreetmap.org itself, on the front page is actually a combination of lots of different projects. So each of the map layers are defined and developed independently with their own teams of people, their own maintainers. It's not part of this code base. Same goes for the search for Nominatum, the various routing engines, the built-in ID editor, and the overpass service that's used for the query tool. These are all independent projects, so I'm not going to cover any of the developments for any of those today. What I do want to talk about is some of the highlights, and normally when I give this presentation, there's a lot of stuff that's gone on behind the scenes, and there's not really much that you might have noticed changing on the front page of the website. And this year, that's not true. I actually have some things that you might have noticed yourself to talk about. The first of these 3 highlights is the inclusion of client-side rendering or vector tiles on the front page. There are now 2 additional layers. You can see them at the bottom right, the shortbread layer and MapTiler OMT layer. These are using an entirely new technology stack, which will, especially as we make some changes in the future, provide new and interesting ways of visualizing the OpenStreetMap data. And I know that Paul sat down here. He's got a talk related to shortbread as well. Another feature is the language picker. The OpenStreetMap website has always reacted to the language that your browser requests. And if you want to change that, you can override it in your user preferences. But in order to do that, you needed to have an OpenStreetMap account. And so we've added a language picker so that all visitors to the website, even if they aren't registered, can override it. And I quite like the way this has turned out, particularly showing the language both in the language that you're using at the moment and also the native language. It makes it much easier to find ones that you want. But where this is particularly interesting is combining those two features, both the vector tiles and the language of the user interface. And so here, if you set the interface to be Scots Gaelic, for example, all the names of all the places will change to Scots Gaelic on the map tiler layer. And this kind of language choice thing is one of the features that vector tiles brings to the maps. And yeah, I think it's great. The third big user-facing feature is the development of dark mode. A lot of people have been asking for this. It's especially handy if you have like your phone that requests dark mode at night. And it took a lot of time and effort to get this to work on OpenStreetMap. Again, it reacts automatically to the way your browser requests, or you can go into your user preferences and you can change it if you want it to be always in dark mode or always in light mode. Most of the work was not actually making it happen so much as getting rid of bits that were hard-coded, assuming it was always light mode. So when we first enabled dark mode, there was lots of things that were in the wrong colors, and we actually had to go through, and it was more about removing code than it was about adding anything specifically for dark mode. But again, let's combine these things. One of the biggest conversations, in depth, occasionally heated, was about how to do the maps in dark mode. And so various options were tried. One of them was just to make all the maps darker, but that had problems with reducing the contrast between different colors used. Another one was to automatically invert the brightness and rotate the colors to fix them. That had a couple of issues, one being that it was not done in a perceptual color space. So the human eye is very good at seeing the difference between light yellow and light green, but the opposite of those colors just looks like black and black, so that's not very useful. And it really ruins any of the layers that have hill shading on, because the shaded bits appear on the other side of the valley, and so it didn't work for those. And in the end, we went for a third approach, which was to let the cartographers decide what they want to happen for each of their map styles. So each of these independently run projects can choose if they want one of the automated fashions or if they want to come up with their own dark mode. And so two of the map styles, the transport map, which is shown here, and the shortbread layer have dark modes, and you can see them in action today. And I expect over time the other layers will do something similar. So those were the three big changes, but that wasn't everything that went into those 1,000 pull requests. So I'm going to run through a few more changes in the different categories that we've got. We made changes to the profile page. You can add links off to social networks, like add your Mastodon links, that kind of thing. There's the user profile as well. It took a lot of time and effort to be developed and refined. We're showing like your snippets from your latest diaries on the user profile as well. One of the things I only found out about whilst I was taking screenshots for this was the enhanced change set information that we show now. So we show features that were added and removed, not just the total number of edits. And that can be helpful if you're trying to spot vandalism that's happened. And again, when I was investigating this, I found that we've changed the way that they're displayed as well. And I have a good hover effect when you're scrolling around. It's pretty cool. And a lot of other minor user interface changes as well, like fixing the way the map data works across the anti-meridian. Or, as it says at the bottom here, the note subscriptions. It used to be you could only follow a note if you commented on it, and you couldn't stop following if people were having a big conversation. So that now works the same way as change sets or user diaries. You can subscribe and unsubscribe from that. With the API, we're always making changes, even though we've been on 0.7 for 15 years at least, but we can keep making changes to the API. So there's now a messages API, which allows other software to read and write your private messages. We've added the note subscriptions I just mentioned, has an API as well. There's now a way that moderators can block users through the API, which helps when they're doing large-scale vandalism stuff. They don't have to go onto the website and click around on the website. They can use the API to do that. This year, not that many database changes, a few new tables to support the new features of the social links and the note subscriptions, some caching element counters for the change set stats, and a few other minor changes, but nothing particularly major came there. Developer experience is something that I'm particularly focused on, I would say. Like, the way that we manage to get all of these user-facing changes, the big changes in, is by making it as easy as possible for all the developers to contribute. And so relentlessly trying to make it easier and easier for people to get things done is the core of this developer experience. One feature that I'm particularly pleased with is the new way that developers can preview notification emails. This is the email that you get if you upload a trace. I think there's opportunity for improvement, let's say, in the way that this is displayed. But in order to work on this previously, the easiest way for a developer to see these emails was to repeatedly upload and upload and upload and change a bit and upload and upload and change a bit more. Whereas now we can just preview the email with some placeholder information. We can do this for all the notification emails. We can check what they look like in plain text. And we can easily check, there's just a little drop down at the top there to change the language. And although we don't make that many changes to these emails, it is good to make it easier. And also there's some work coming up in the future on overhauling the whole way the notification system works on the website. And so this is one of these building blocks which will make that work easier. We obviously have lots of tests to support the developers. We have lots of linters as well, which means when people are working on the website, their pull requests are more likely to pass if all these things pass. And we've added a system which also examines the pull requests that have been made to see, is the pull request too big? Are there merge commits? Have people accidentally started trying to change the translations in a pull request instead of going to Translate Wiki? And it's this kind of support and guidance that means that we can handle 1,000 pull requests in 16 months. Without that, we would just spend all of our time telling new contributors the same things over and over. And a whole load more developer experience things as well. My favorite one in this list is using the inline SVGs. For performance reasons, it's better if we put the SVGs in line with the HTML when we send it out instead of being a separate request. And for developers, it's better to keep the SVGs separately in the repository so that you can just use regular tools to view them and edit them. And so coming up with a system that allows that both to happen seamlessly is great. And yeah, beyond all of this, there's lots and lots of continuous minor improvements that go into the system. And I want to touch briefly on the team of people behind it. I'm one of the 3 volunteer maintainers. Tom's another one. Anton is the 3rd maintainer. He's currently taking a break from the OpenStreetMap development, but I hope to see him back again soon. It's not just the 3 of us doing the work, though. I don't think it could be with 3,000 commits in the last 16 months. And in fact, we have more than 50 people have had their changes accepted into the code base. The 25 new people are highlighted here in yellow, and it continues to amaze me how many people actually get involved to the point that their contributions are accepted, so big thanks to them. It also needs a lot of discussion. Some of these features in particular need a whole load of discussion. And that rate has picked up over the last few years and has been sustained. Here's the 134 new people out of the 250 people who came to our issue tracker to help develop. If you see your name up there as well, great, glad to have you. And our translators, we've had more than 2,000 people translating the website, almost 200 in the last 16 months. It's staggering how much effort has gone into this. When it comes to our team, I know some people know about this already, and a lot of people are interested in how it works. For the first time, the OpenStreetMap Foundation is paying staff to work on core software. Min is working as the core software coordinator, I think it is. That might not be the right title. And Pablo is a software developer. It's important to say it's not the first time people have been paid to work on this project. It's only the first time that it's the OSMF paying. So it's not new for the project to have paid contributors. They don't get any special rights. They don't automatically become a maintainer or anything. They're just contributing alongside all the volunteers. And we're working hard to make sure that they don't displace the volunteers. We need this to be a project which is involving everybody. It's too big, it's too important, and having so many different people with different priorities and different points of view is important. So we expect that to continue. What these focused paid staff can bring is either working more deeply on some of the harder projects that we're working on, or being able to do some time-consuming stuff which the volunteers don't have the time for. So for example, there's a summary thread now on the forum where every month they put out the changes that have gone along in much more detail throughout the year than can be covered by a talk like this. It also means you don't have to wait until the next conference before you get an idea as to what's been going on. And talking about contributing, we are always looking for more people to join. Whether you're an OpenStreetMap expert, whether you're a translator, whether you're a software developer, or whether you have any of the skills that we need to make this project work, this could be you. If you're interested in joining in, please read our contributing documentation. It's got some good tips as to how to get started. Make new pull requests or review the existing pull requests that are in the queue. Help with the issue triage. We have, I think, about 500 open issues at the moment. Some of them are just being overlooked. Some of them need more information. And if you speak more than one language, then it'd be great to have you helping with the translations. But however you want to do it, I'd encourage you to join our team. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Andy, and thanks for all the great work. I just want to say I don't think there should be any need to sort of try and be defensive about paying people. I think sometimes that's very much necessary, and I fully support it, and certainly with the server side. I had two quick questions. Firstly, do you think the use of a single repo to cover what's basically the API and a front end is a good optimal or suboptimal? And secondly, I just wonder if you had any thoughts about the OpenStreetMap NG project, which has been sort of running quietly somewhere over there.
Yeah, sure. So I think there's 3 points in there. The paid staff thing, like, I don't feel defensive about it, but I want to make sure it's very clear to everybody, because there is sometimes a perception that when an open source project that's been run by volunteers brings on paid staff, that it's kind of getting rid of the volunteers. And I want to make sure that nobody goes away with that impression. The second one is about it being one repository. Yeah, I think it's great. Like, as far as I'm concerned, viewing a node on the web and viewing a node via the API is just such similar code that it doesn't need to be separate code bases. And it's certainly not of the scale where I feel like it's too much code to be in the one repo. It could be a project 10, 100 times the size, and one repo would be fine. This is not the scale of the code that runs Facebook or anything like that. Your third question was about the OpenStreetMap NG project. For anybody who isn't aware of that, it's an alternative to this project, written in a different language by a contributor, Camel from Poland. I haven't looked at it very much. I know it has an incompatible license with what we're doing. Great to see any new ideas that come up through that. Certainly ideas that we can incorporate into this project. So it's great to see it as an experiment. I'd encourage Camel, again, as I have in the past, to join in with this project.
Thank you for all your work. All these quality of life improvements, they really add up and they really make a difference. So it's really awesome. And glad to see that you also enjoyed some peace and quiet. So I have a bit of a leading question. So sorry for that.
Sure.
So I work for MapLibre, so I'm pretty excited to see vector maps coming to the OpenStreetMap website. But the current leaflet renderer that's used, it has some disadvantages. Like when you zoom in, you step zoom level by zoom level, which is like not the experience, the best user experience. So yeah, what do you feel about the switching the map library to MapLibre? I know there's some discussion on that on GitHub, and do you see any like roadblocks for that? And yeah, what's your perspective basically?
Yeah, so my perspective is that this was definitely the correct approach to do, which was incremental. We were able to put the vector layers into the existing leaflet framework, although as you say, it has the limitations mainly around the increment or the stepwise zoom levels instead of continual zooming. But without we support such a wide range of people on such wide range of hardware that we needed to get something out to start finding out if it was going to cause problems. And that's why we didn't switch the default layers at the start either. We needed to make sure that we don't find out that WebGL is disabled on lots of devices somewhere else in the world or things like that. So I think we've done the right approach. I'm fairly agnostic about what library is used in the long term, whether it's MapLibre or Leaflet. I can see the advantage of moving to MapLibre for that. I do worry slightly about MapLibre if we can avoid doing continuous zoom on the non-vector tile layers, because I don't want to see lots of partially pixelated maps, especially when we're trying to promote it with the main map layer. If that's still going to be the default, then I don't want to see low quality there. But otherwise, I don't know. And I know that we are working on it at the moment. There's a draft pull request in there to switch to MapLibre for one of the smaller maps, which allows us to see what would be involved in changing, I think it's one of the user profile maps. And hopefully we won't run into any showstoppers with any of the other features.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think the incremental approach is really good, and also now doing another incremental step of like first getting all the build tooling in place for that one little map. Yeah, good approach. I don't know if MapLibre supports the like non-continuous zooming. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I guess that can be implemented if it's not there already.
I mean, it's in all of these cases, and as we said with the pull requests that are coming in, if you can make your pull request so that I'm not worried about anything, then great. So this pull request to switch to MapLibre, for example, had globe mode turned on by default. And let's talk about that separately in a separate pull request. So again, that's the kind of thing where if we can do MapLibre and we just don't need to worry that all the raster maps look terrible, then that's one less thing that I'm worrying about, and one makes it more likely that we can move forward.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions?
Okay, thanks a lot, Andy. That was great. Maybe this is a bit unfair. Would you like to speculate on what might be coming up in this talk next year? So what sort of things might be in the pipeline for for the website in the future?
I'm going to change this away from what might happen to what I would like to see happen, because then I can extend the timeline
Sure.
if it doesn't happen by next year. Two big things that I would like to see happen are, as I mentioned earlier, an overhaul of the notification system. We send people a lot of emails when different things happen, like you get a comment on an issue, on a note, and you get an email. You don't get to choose which emails you want to keep getting, or if you want to get your notifications anywhere else. So I would like to see a big change there. And I think the second kind of feature that would be of interest to most people is, I think we're severely underusing the dashboard when you log into OpenStreetMap. So we know lots of things about you. We know you get to specify where your home location is, and we have a dashboard page which shows you things which are generally not of interest to you. But if we could change that dashboard to be more mapping focused, to say, like, here's some new notes that are near your location, or this is what you could work on next, or here's some features from any of the Keep Right and things like that, which are near your area, or these notes have been flagged as needing somebody on the ground. I think we could do a lot more with the dashboard that would make it something that you want to go to each time you map, is to go there, and it will help you move forward. So those are the two things that I would like to see happen.
Excellent, thanks. Is that it for questions? Okay, well, let's thank Andy again.
Thank you.